and welcome back to the most amazing channel on the internet. I'm Rebecca Felgate.
And my name is Danny Burke, and today we're going to be talking about the top 10 scary things that you should never Google.
Honestly, I'm really glad you're here, Danny, because I'm feeling a bit stressed out about all of these scary things.
Well, what would you say is the scariest thing that you've personally ever Googled?
I've included all of the scariest things that I've Googled on this list, so I can't answer you right now, but I will answer you over the duration of this video.
And at the end, if you guys keep watching that far, engagement, video engagement. Alright, before we get into this list though, why don't you guys let us know what's the worst thing you have ever seen on the internet? It doesn't have to be scary. I'm kind of regretting asking them
Yeah, I'm kind of regretting asking them that, but you know, we like a good chat, we love reading your comments out at the end, and also we do really like it when you leave a thumbs up on our videos and share them with your friends.
Yeah.
If I had friends beyond Danny, I would share them with them. I can't share this one with you because you're in it.
Also share them with your enemies.
Ooh!
Starting off at number 10 now, we have jiggers. That's the name of a parasite that is found in most tropical countries. They only measure about 1 millimeter in size, but there is an insane amount of damage that they can cause. This tiny flea burrows into exposed skin on people's feet. They then stay there for about 2 weeks, laying eggs and causing the feet to swell. The condition is called tungiitis, and to many people, it looks like a normal blister with a central black dot on it. That black dot is actually the end of the flea sticking out so it can breathe. Ugh. If left untreated, it can lead to serious infections and loss of toenails. The good news, if there is any, is that they can be easily stopped in their tracks by physically removing them. The bad news is that you can't do that if they are somewhere inaccessible. Levison Wood is a British adventurer who went to Rwanda. Now while he was there, a jigger laid its eggs underneath his toenail. He had to cut the end of his toe off with a razor blade in order to stop it. I can't even continue with this. I just wished I'd finish on the good news instead.
That's disgusting, Danny. Toenails. Toenails freak me out. Alright, moving on from toenails to the dark web, because this is a diverse list. Do not ever Google how to get onto the dark web. I feel like you should absolutely never mess with the dark web at all costs. It's just too risky. The dark web is called the dark web for a reason. It's filled with dark people. People who use the dark web tend to use it for illicit goings on, like drug deals or the hiring of assassins. Now, I've never been on the dark web. The closest I've ever got is 4chan. I have to take it from those who have visited it that it isn't a very nice place. Now, according to articles on various national news publications, the dark web is a place where you can access murder live streams, which, well, I'd really rather not. Luckily, you can't just stumble upon the dark web. You need to have access via a torrent. However, if you're really intent on getting there, it is possible. But is it worth it? Okay, best case scenario, you just kind of scare yourself. Medium case scenario, you unleash a horrible virus on your computer. Or worst case, you don't want the dark web to actively come and find you, but it might.
Moving on now to number 8, we have the simulation argument. Earlier on, I talked about something that can make you physically hurt, but this one may just hurt you mentally. To put it quite simply, a number of physicists and philosophers have proposed a theory that all of reality, the Earth, our galaxy, in fact the entire universe, is actually an artificial simulation. Essentially, it's a logic argument. There are 3 scenarios that could unfold for humanity. A, our species dies out before developing advanced technology. B, we live long enough to develop advanced technology, but creating a computer simulation of an entire universe is impossible. Or C, we actually simulate an entire universe in the future. Let's say you believe humans can live long enough to create advanced technology. Okay, so that rules out option A. Now let's say that it is possible with enough power and technology to create a simulated universe, identical in every way to our own. Okay, so that rules out option B. That leaves us with option C. Humans do end up simulating an entire universe identical to their own, perhaps to study how their ancestors lived. Now the question is, do you think that we are that universe? We're the real universe? Is it going to be our descendants that create these millions and billions of universe simulations? Or do you think that we are living in one of those simulations that the real humans and real universe created? There could be billions or even trillions of those, but only one single real one. What do you think is more likely that we live in? I'll just leave that one with you because my head's starting to hurt just a little tiny bit.
Coming into number 7, we have spontaneous combustion. Like, you're just out out there living your life and then you catch fire, burn and die. I'm not up for this. This is one extra thing that I just don't need to worry about today. Spontaneous human combustion is a rare phenomenon where living or recently deceased humans catch fire without an apparent source of ignition. Yes, this really is an inappropriate time for R. Kelly's Ignition remix to come into my head. Get out of there, R. Kelly. Anyway, combustion. A light level of research tells me that spontaneous combustion really isn't very common, although it does happen. Also, reading the characteristic notes on Wikipedia made me want to be sick, so I'll spare you the gory details as to what goes down when you do combust. Spontaneous human combustion is also closely related to a bizarre medical syndrome called the Stevens-Johnson syndrome. This is a skin condition that's characterized by severe burns and blisters, and trust me, you don't want to see that either. To be honest, I'd stay away from googling any kind of skin condition. It's just not what you need.
Next up at number 6 now, guys, we have the calculus bridge. Now this might sound like a creepy old bridge, but it's much worse than that, trust me. Brace yourselves for this. This is a calculus bridge. Now how bad does that look? I feel really awful for the people who actually have this, but what exactly is it? Well, essentially it's a buildup of tartar, the yellowish deposit of minerals that form on the tooth surface as a result of pre-existing plaque that has hardened. It can happen in just a few weeks as well. Eventually the plaque develops into calculus when the constant accumulation of minerals from saliva adheres itself to the plaque. Once the calculus bridge forms, it can be very painful and obviously quite unsightly, but there's actually even more of a pressing concern. See, calculus is also loaded with bacteria which just sits there in the mouth, causing a big risk of infection. It's advised that people visit a dentist as soon as they see this forming to have it removed. Unless it's got really bad, a dentist will usually just use a routine cleaning method to remove it. Every time I hear about one of these horrific teeth stories, I just want to go and book an appointment with a dentist right away. In fact, do we have any dentists out there who want to give me a checkup?
Did you say a build-up of tartar?
Yes.
Like the sauce? That's disgusting. That makes me feel...
That is right.
I don't know.
Well guys, it's too late now. On to the next one.
On to the next, but also bleh. Okay, next up, flying scares me anyway, but honestly this is truly and utterly terrifying. Coming into number 5, we have the MH17 aftermath. Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 was shot down on the 17th of July 2014. Now this came just 4 months after Malaysian Airlines flight 370 was lost after taking off from Kuala Lumpur Airport. This made 2014 the worst year for aviation in 10 years. The crash of this plane was extremely high profile, and so far as the current evidence points, it was downed by a Russian military missile as it flew over the Ukraine. All 283 passengers and 15 crew members on board were killed, and horribly. As I said, planes do scare me, and the thought of being downed by a missile while in flight, well, that didn't even cross my mind until this plane crashed. This is a whole new thing to worry about. Knowing about the crash is scary enough, can't really avoid the news. What you can avoid is looking into what happened to the plane and the people on board in the aftermath. I don't have many regrets in my life, but googling this one is one of the few that I do have. Honestly, I feel like it changed me as a person, and really not in a good way. Alright, I really hate this too. Coming into number 4, we have Ed Gein Leather. Ed Gein was the notorious murderer who inspired the movies Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, aka 2 of the scariest movies of all time ever. Well, he's real. So Gein was criminally insane, but for a long time he was living without any attention directed at him in Plainfield, Wisconsin. Gein admitted to killing 2 women in the mid-1950s, a pub owner and a hardware store owner. Not only did he kill people, he also dug up corpses from local graveyards, and what he did with those bodies was a true atrocity. After his second murder was traced back to him, police officers went to Gein's home, and what they found is something that no human should ever have to see. Not only did they find the missing woman's body decapitated in a shed, they found furniture and household objects made of human leather. These are some of the most terrifying things I have ever had the displeasure of seeing. You don't want to see them, please don't Google them. He also made human masks out of people's skin and was thought to have worn them as he roleplayed as a woman. Honestly, this haunts me to my very core. Danny, I'm sad. This is a horrible list. Can we do a fun one together next time?
Yeah, but we have to earn the right to do a fun one by doing stuff like this.
Okay, that's fair enough, but
My next one's really nice, actually.
oh yeah?
No, not at all. It's horrible. Next up at number 3 now, we have The Body Farm. If you've ever watched a crime show on TV, you'll know the bit where they analyze a body to try and figure out how long that person's been dead for. That knowledge doesn't just come from anywhere, it comes from a place like a body farm. Body farm is where people donate their bodies to science so that scientists can study how they decompose. The pictures you're seeing now come from the Forensic Anthropology Center at Texas State University. The information they gather here can be used in a court of law, and some of the researchers have even been called up to give evidence in murder trials. They also specialize in facial reconstruction. By studying how a face decomposes, they can then recreate what a decomposed face would have looked like, if that makes sense. This proves invaluable in identifying unidentified murder victims. They will take anyone who donates their body with just 2 conditions. They must weigh under 500 pounds when they die, and also not have any sort of infectious diseases such as hepatitis C. So if you meet those 2 criteria and you want to help fight crime in death, maybe body farms are the way to go. Wow, what a morbid one that was.
I actually feel like body farms maybe are a good thing, but you just don't need to see it. Interesting, but gross to look at. Okay, this one is horrifying on all levels and super gross to look at. Coming in at number 2, we have the Hammer Murderers. So the Hammer Murders of the Ukraine are a true abomination, and you don't want to know about them, much less see them. I'll basically give you the basics so you don't feel like googling it ever. The Dnipropetrovsk maniacs are serial killers who are behind a gory spate of murders between June and July 2007. While they are 2 of the scariest people I've ever read about, they were also just 19 when they went on their murderous spree, which in a way makes them even scarier. Their names are Viktor Sanyenko and Igor Sprunayunk, and in little over 3 weeks they managed to kill 21 people without any order or motive. They range from children to the elderly. The pair seemed to love Nazism and bloodshed. They killed their victims with hammers and used their blood to paint swastikas. The diabolical duo reached new levels of depravity when they were found to have photographed and videotaped the murders, some of which unfortunately have been leaked onto the internet and are searchable on Google. Honestly though, I just wouldn't do it.
And finally at number 1 now, we have The Murder of Tim McLean. Now, even for those of you with a very morbid fascination with crime might find this one a little bit too much. You have been warned. In 2008, a Canadian called Tim McLean was returning home to Manitoba after working at a fair in Alberta. He boarded a Greyhound bus. After 7 hours, the bus picked up a new passenger, Vince Weiguang Li. The 40-year-old Chinese-Canadian man was described as having a shaved head and wearing sunglasses. Originally, he sat near the front of the bus, but then moved further back to sit next to Tim, and by this point Tim had fallen asleep against the window with his headphones covering his ears. Soon after, Lee produced a large knife and began stabbing Tim in the neck and chest. The bus driver pulled over to the side of the road so that he and the other passengers could get off. Then Lee decapitated Tim and displayed his severed head to the other passengers standing outside. He then returned to the body and began cutting off parts of it and eating them. Police arrived on the scene and entered into a tense 4.5-hour standoff with him before he tried to escape by breaking through a window. He was tased, handcuffed and arrested. Parts of the body were retrieved from the bus, while his ear, nose and tongue were found in Lee's pockets. He was found to be mentally unstable and was found not criminally responsible for the murder and was remanded to a high security mental health facility in Manitoba. He was eventually released from there on May 8, 2015. On July 9, 2018, Greyhound Canada announced they would end virtually all services across Canada, and many people speculated that the drop in ridership was a knock-on effect from the murder of Tim McLean.
Danny, I'm scared this was awful and I need a hug. May I please have one?
Yes, of course.
If only we could hug you all. I feel like we all need a big top 10 group hug.
Alright guys, thank you so much for joining us on this kind of gross, morbid, scary journey. We searched for all of these so you didn't have to, but shall we do a part 2, Rebecca?
I really don't think that we should do a part 2 just because I feel very, very sad. But if you do want top 10 best rainbows that ever existed or top 10 happiest kittens, then let me know.
Don't let me know.
Why you want to do that? Hey, you love a cat. Happiest
Don't
kittens.
want to do that
Mew.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the video, also give it a like, and we'll see you all in the next one.
We will. Bye.